Hi everyone. I'll say hi to my wife, who runs a different channel that has something not related to Sudoku or puzzles at all. But this one is called Chase the Fog Away. It's by Full Deck and missing a few cards who I believe to be the main setters for the missing deck puzzles. And this one is called Chase the Fog Away. So all these dark gray cells are shrouded in fog, and you have to use the unshaded light cells and only light cells to deduce clues as to what goes in the fog. The idea behind this is that one deduction leads to the next, which leads to the next, and so on and so forth. And I turned on the letter tool because sometimes I need BAT for sums or something else, and it helps me keep track of some other things that normal pencil marking centering thing like this to indicate 4, 5, 6 is one possibility, or 4 or 5 must appear in this cell. These letters give me a little more options. So 4 and 2 cells has to be 1, 3. There's no other way to do it. You can't put double 2 in there. 17 has to be 8, 9. This 3 has to be 1, 2. Now, since 1 has to appear in one of these cells, this can't be 1, it must be 3. Four down here is 1 and 3. That then looks up. This can't be 1 because it sees a 1 in one of those two cells. So that tells me which way around 2 and 1 go there. This 16 is in 2 cells. The only way to do that is 7, 9, which then look to the right. This can't be a 9 because it sees a 9, but it must appear in one of these two. So that's an 8. That means this is 9. And now this 17 has to be 8, 9. That's the only way to do it. That looks down here. That can't be 9. It must be 7. This 14 in 2 cells, well, it can't be 9, 5. There's a 9 here. It could be 8, 6, and in fact, that's the only other way to do it. You can't put double 7 in there because it violates Cage and Sudoku rules. So, 8, 6 here. Tells you how to do that.
That has to be 6 because 8, 9 here.
Yep, and as Sarah just pointed out, an 8 must appear in one of these two cells. This cell, therefore, cannot be 8. It must be 6. Okay, 6 here is not 2 cells because of the open-ended border that extends it to at least that cell. We know that's 1, 2, 3. It can't be 4 cells long because the digits would have to be, at a minimum, 1, 2, 3, 4. That sums to 10, which is clearly not 6. Now, I also just noticed 1, 3, and 1, 2, 3 here form a triple, and so does that. Now, what that does give me is 1, 2, 3, and 7, 8, 9 in row 8, so the remainder has to be 4, 5, 6. Oh, and there's this 16, which also has to be 7, 9, and now that 9 means this obviously can't be. That 14 has to be 8, 6, and I know which way around that goes. This 7, which, again, it can't be 4 cells long because that sums to 10, so 1, 2, and the third cage cell must be this one. The only way to make 7 in 3 cells is 1, 2, 4, and these two can't be 1, so that one has to be. Box 3 now has 3 remaining digits left because everything else is placed. They are 4, 5, and 8, and these two can't be 8, so that one must be. The 8 in row 1 looks left and places a few more digits. Okay,
Wait a minute.
This 13 is at least 2 cells long. This 16.
Wait a minute, you're missing one. Because that has to be 2, 4, so that has to be 6.
I did that. Obviously, 2, 4, 5, and 4 cells, that doesn't work. Well, 5, 6, and 4, 5, 6. At least I can mark that one too.
That has to be 4 because neither of these can be.
And then 5, 6 makes this 4. these out and use it for something that isn't disambiguated quite so easily. Okay, I've got 2 things here that are 7 that are at least 2 cells long.
What about this one here?
That has to be at least 3 cells based on this one not being completely closed off. Question is, can it be 4 cells? I'm pretty sure it can't be 5 cells because I think that would force 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and we've already used 1. Not to mention we've used 2 there.
Yeah.
It's at least 3 cells long. I'm trying to figure out, can it be 4?
Okay, what about 13?
Well, it can't. 13 couldn't be used 3 anyway. Because you can't put 10 in a cage, and this is not a Schrodinger puzzle.
Okay, so how many, okay.
13 in 4 cells, 5, 4, 3, 1, which doesn't work because of this 1, 3.
Yeah, okay. So how about these 3 here? So only 3 digits left.
There are only 3 digits left in column 9. They must be 2, 4, and 5, and this one can't be 4.
One of those has to be 4. Because that has a virtual 4 and that is a virtual 4. It's like you have one, found a 4, and that's a virtual 4.
Let's see, 5, 6, 4, 8, 9 leaves 1, 2, 3, 7 for the rest of column 8, but I don't know that does a whole lot at the moment. If I could come up with some combination of 1, 2, 3, and 7 for one of the remaining cells in row 9, that would help me immensely because it would force a pair. But I don't think I quite have enough information to be able to deduce that. Now, 7 in 3 cells here couldn't be 1, 2, 4, which I think is the only way to make 7 in 3 cells, so it's either 2, 5 or 3, 4. And it must be here and that one.
Which means it's got to be the same in the other one.
Yeah, because there's only one way to make 7
and it's gotta
in
go
3
that
cells.
Way. We know it goes down at least.
It goes here, and it goes at least there.
Yeah.
Well, that gives me a 2, 3, 4, 5 quad in box 5, which I can't do much else with. I mean, I don't even want to put 1 in one of those 4 cells at the moment. But actually, this 1, 2, 3 means one of these has to be a 1. Therefore, this can't be, and therefore one of those must be.
Okay. One of those must be, which means one of these must be.
Yeah, that's a 1, this 1, so the virtual 1 is here. 1, 3, 6, 7, 9. We'll leave 2, 4, 5, and 8 to place in box 7.
And the 8 has to be...
In fact, it can't go there because of the 8 looking down from column 3, so this has to be an 8. And I could have known that from those 2.
Okay. Okay, we're seeing 13 now. And crossed. And we know that somewhere in that has to be 9. Because there's 9, there's 9.
Well, 9 is in one of these cells, but all we know is the 13 is at least 2 cells long. Yeah, this is a could it be 3?
With a 9. One of those digits has to be a 9.
9, 4, 2. No, there's too many. 9, 1, and 3 would be the only way to make it with a 9, and that doesn't work because I've already used 1 and 3 in these cells. So 13 has to be 2 cells, which means this is 4, 9.
Yeah.
Assuming one of those is a 9.
Which,
it can't
given
be
the information we already have, one of those has to be a 9.
Well, the 9 could still be there, though.
But make 13?
This could still be 7-6. Because that 5-6 and this 5-6 are in different regions. So this one I'm arguing is either 9-4 or 7-6. We definitely know it's not 8-5. There's an 8 in the region.
Yeah. We definitely know it's not 5. Because they can't make that. So.
See, when we determine this 13 is 2 cells long. This 13, I think, also has to be 2 cells long. Now, it can't be 8-5 or 9-4 because of these two. So it has to be 6-7, and this 7 in row 3 points left and tells us which way around it goes.
Okay, now we know that it's 3.
Yeah, my intuition told me that 16 was 3 cells, and now we know definitively that it is. But we also have the rest of box 1, and these are 3, 4, 5. Unfortunately, none of them are seen by anything else yet.
Okay, and what could the other digit be? It's 3, 4, 5, and making 16.
Well, if there's a 5, I've got 2 things that make 11. But 3, 4 would need another 4.
So one of these has to be, like, one of the 3 has to be a 5.
Well, it means 3, 5 has to be together, which means these can't be 4, and therefore I think that cell has to be a 4. No, that's not right. Because this is not revealed.
Well, okay, if says that's 4, then that has to be a 4, and that's a 2.
Yeah, the problem is this cell isn't reducing that one. So I don't think this can be a 4 based on fog logic.
So based on fog logic, it has to be a 3 or a 5. Which means one of these is a 4.
And that means you've got 2 things that sum to 12 that don't contain a 9.
And those 2 things are
8, 4. But none of these can be 8, which would. And this cell also can't be 8, or 7, 5. Since we've already used the 5 there, I think. Am I trying to argue in a convoluted way that that cell has to be 7?
Well, given it fog logic, yes.
Okay, this 7 unfortunately doesn't tell us much.
Okay, 7. Okay, if that's a
1,
7.
2, 3, 6, 7 leaves these as 4, 5, 8, 9, and that's not 8.
Okay.
All we know is these are some combination of 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, but that doesn't help us, given what's known about the rest of column 2.
Okay. So to sum up to 16 with a 7, it has to be 4, 5, right?
Yeah, that has to be 4, 5, and this is a 3. There we go. Okay, now the 4, 5 here rolls 4, 5 out of that cell, which means this is 2. That's an 8. That gives me a 4, 5 in row 7, so this cell is not 4.
And that's not 4.
And neither can that be 4, and this can't be 5, it must be 2. That leaves me with a 4, 5 in column 9. That can't be 2. Okay, that gives me a 1, 3 in row 9, so this cell can't be 1 or 3, it must be 7. Let's see, 1, 3 here gives these as a pair. They are 4, 5.
And you know which way they have to be.
Because of that 4. Which tells me that's a 5. These can't be 4.
And we can't see what the summation was. Got more details.
Well, we already know the 7s can't be. Well, you can't make 3 with a 4 here, so this has to be 2, 5, because it sees a 1 to make 7. Therefore, this has to be the 3, 4 to make 7. That can't be 3, it must be 1.
So that makes that 2, and that's 3.
That's 3, that's a 1. And this 3 means that's not 3. Column 5, that tells me which way around the 2, 3 go in row 8.
Which makes that...
This has to be 1, 3. To finish box 9. That gives... Okay, this is also from 6, 7, 9. Now, these make 13. The only way to do that is 6, 7. So this is 9. Okay, 7 here. This has to be 1, 2, 4. Because there's 7 and 3 cells here. The only way to do that in 3 cells is 1, 2, 4. So you can't put 5 here because these would have to be double 1.
So that's a 5.
So, therefore, that's 4. This is 5. This, in fact, has to be 1, 2, so that makes this a 3. That sorts out a lot of my 1, 3s and my other pairs.
And almost all the fog is gone.
Well, at that point, okay, well, this has to be a 4 because that's 8, 9. 5 and 4 can go in on row 7. And everything is gone except that clue, which means we're pretty much down to classic at this point. 2, 3, 4, 6, 5, 8. That means these cells are 1, 7, 9. To finish column 7, and that's not 7. These are 1, 2, 9. This can't be 9. And that's not 2, which I should have seen first, because the 1, 9 pair, you know, 4 tells me which way around the...
That's a 2.
That's a 2.
Okay. Actually, okay. With all...
And these 2 can only be 3 and 6. And this 3 in row 5 looks left and tells me which way around it goes.
Okay.
So these 2 cells left.
What are these 2?
These 2, let's see, 15 in 2 cells. Well, that has to be 9, 6 or 8, 7. Both of which still seem, well, they can't be 8, 7. So this has to be 9, 6, and that 6 tells me which way around. Looking at column 4, that's going to undo quite a bit more things. These, looking at column 3 and box 4, they are only 1 and 5, and the 5 in row 5 looks left to tell me which way around it goes. The 1 in row 5 tells me which way around the 7 1 in column 7 goes. These 2 are 2 and 8, and the 2 in column 5 tells me which way around that goes. Whoops. No, one of these is 8, and the other one is definitely not 2. It's 7. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. So these are from 6, 7, 8. That can't be 8. Oh. And this sees 7 and 8. So that may have been what we needed.
Woohoo.
Because that sorts out 6, 7, 8. Column
And
6,
the last,
which sorts out
and
7.
last the fives.
Takes 5, 6 out. And then I can take 4, 5 in column 2, which takes 2, 4 in column 7. And now we're down to literally just filling in digits at this point. These are 4 and 5. And I have enough givens to tell me where they are. These are 3 and 9, and I know which way around they go. And these are 2 and 8, and I know which round they go. And yes, this is a good, well-constructed puzzle. I had to use every single one of these cages in order to actually solve it, which I believe was the intent.